Smashing Pumpkins, Oceania, 3D in NYC. This comes from 2013 and is about a 2-hour concert. For a stage, we have the rehearsal hall look. I guess it emphasizes that the focus is on the sound and not the show. All headed up by frontman Billy Corgan, who apparently hasn't bought a shirt in 20 years. I wonder if this slightly shrunk shirt was his idea or if there was a stylist somewhere who talked him into it. I suppose it could be symbolic of the man-child, which sounds demeaning, but it's actually a very biblical concept of a life dedicated to repentance, that is, of changing and challenging the mind, which is a form of constant rebirth, adult rebirth. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. We also have a drummer and a guitarist that look like they squeezed in this show while on their lunch hour from their day job. The bass player is the only one who seems to have dressed up for the occasion. As I understand, she's no longer in the band. This is pure 90s and pure grunge. Nothing fancy going on at all. Now, the stereo is good when we are close to the stage, which is most of the time, but there is a problem. They have a lot of stage lights directly behind the band that often point right into the cameras. Stage lights tend to create twinkle. Twinkle is a term. It is when each eye sees a different image from the same source. In small amounts, it can be fun and even kind of cool. When it's ever present, it becomes an annoyance, and here it is ever present. Now, long shots that show off the wide view of the stage, unfortunately, are very shallow. I suspect they used the same cameras as they did on the stage, but lacked any way to adjust the stereo field to account for the distance, which is unfortunate, as that ball would have looked good if they had the lenses to exaggerate the wide view. Now, that ball is a cool idea. What does it represent? Is it meant to be a representation of Billy's famously shaved head and the thoughts pouring out? Or maybe it's the collective energy of the world itself, and it harnesses our collective thoughts into a singular understanding. Now, what was this Blu-ray meant to be? It seems to be a collectible of interest only to a select few. It seems to have existed as a promo kit for their then new album, Oceania. There's no booklet, just a very simple insert, and my guess it was produced in a short run just to get something out in the public to talk about this new album. But even some 8 years later, it's still doing its job. Although I went through a Pumpkins phase around the 2000s, I admit I haven't paid attention to them in years, so this got me seated and listening. I've mentioned on other reviews, there's something about putting on glasses that keeps you focused. And music kind of needs a bit of focus to get you started. Lovers of jazz and other challenging music would tend to talk about a first listen as something to get out of the way so they can begin to enjoy it on the second and third go-rounds. So yes, being enveloped in 3D turned out to be a great way to pull me into a first listen. And actually, having pulled up the studio album a couple of times since, I actually find I enjoyed the live versions on this 3D disc a bit more. It seems to have a bit more energy. So this is really just an avenue to be an active listener rather than, a typical moviegoer. But that makes it all the more unique and special. There's not a whole lot like this out there.